They paid no rent for 6 months. In response, Mr. Tucker, like any landlord might, raised his voice on one occasion, Your Honor. That's not harassment. That's amazing self-restraint. In fact, if anyone should sue for emotional distress, it's my clients who finally had to evict the Wilsons. Thank you, Your Honor.
If counsel will allow me a moment.
What do you think?
Slam dunk, if you ask me.
Well, I hope so. Just to lighten the load a little bit.
It seems to me that any acrimony which existed was created by the plaintiffs themselves, who ignored the reasonable request of their landlords. I find, therefore, in favor of the defendants, Percy and Hannah Tucker. Court is adjourned for today.
Thank you, Miss Jackson. Thank you.
People being hauled into court over nothing.
Listen, Miss Jackson, before you go, there's something else I'd like your advice on, seeing as how you did so well for us in this case.
Is something wrong?
No, this just requires privacy, that's all. As my attorney, when I was younger, 34 years ago now.
Yes?
I killed a man.
Any day now, I will hear you say goodbye, my love, and you'll be on your way. Then my wild, beautiful bird, you will have flown. It isn't now. I'll be gone alone. Oh.
I was teaching out of Montgomery then, but it was summer, so I took the bus up here to see my cousins. It was close to dark when I got here, and I was thirsty, so I bought myself a soda from the woman at the depot concession stand. We shared a few words, nothing more than, looks like rain today, you know, small talk. After that, I started to walk. It wasn't long before I noticed headlights coming up behind me, real slow. And something told me to pick up my pace. I believe I started to run. That's when this car comes charging up. One of them has a baseball bat. The other one has a chain in one hand.
Take your time, honey.
And a can of gas in the other. They start beating on me, these boys. Start calling me every kind of ugly name that there is, telling me I have no business talking to a white woman.
I take it you fought back.
Not until this one boy starts flicking that lighter. And swinging that can of gas back and forth. I knew I had to do something, so I got that bat away from him and I started swinging. And I guess I must have connected, because the one boy, he fell down, and after that, the other boy, he got in the car and got out of there.
What did you do then?
Ran away. As fast as I could.
If it was self-defense, why didn't you turn yourself in?
You know the answer to that, Miss Jackson.
I ran because I'm a black man in America, Miss Jackson. There's no way I would have seen justice. Not then.
So why come forward now?
The truth needs to be said. And we need to be free of it.
We disagree about what's best. And that's why we wanted to discuss it with you.
As your attorney, I don't have to notify the authorities. But legally, I can't advise you to do anything but turn yourself in. Otherwise, I would be abetting a fugitive. Having said all that, I believe we'd have a very good chance of proving that what you did was self-defense. But there is a risk. You fled the scene. And if for some reason we did not prevail in court, it's possible you may be required to serve time.
I was hoping you would tell us the world's a different place now.
I can't believe you're acting this way. You have seen every Super Bowl that's ever been.
Well, that's on television with grown men who aren't my son.
What? This is motivational. Keep some pumping. Killer instinct, in fact.
That's what I'm talking about. People get killed out there. It's more aggressive than it used to be.
And the pattern's better than it used to be, too. Davis is just a kicker. I mean, he's barely out on the field. And besides, he is part of a team. Elizabeth, and to a kid his age, it's everything.
Don't you think it's too dangerous for him? I mean, he looks awful small out there.
Oh, he'll be fine. Oh, hold on, here we go.
I cannot watch him get the stuffing knocked out of him.
He's just down for a field goal.
It's gone! Right down the middle! You rock, buddy! You rock!
Is it over? What did I miss?
Come on, Mary Elizabeth, you can't keep covering your eyes every time he plays the game.
I can't.
Sure you can.
No, I can't.
The fact of the matter is you have never handled a murder trial, Renee.
That's true, but Joe is not the only criminal attorney in town.
No, but he was 6'6" in self-defense cases as a public defender. There is no harm in consulting him.
All I've been able to find out so far are the newspaper accounts based on the statement of the victim's companion that night. All the police records are sealed. I can't get any access till the case has been reopened.
Too bad your fiancé, the cop, is out of town. Can I ask you something? Is your client out of his mind?
No, he's a man of conscience, Joe. A man who's tired of hiding. A man who's lived his life in a box.
He's living in a cage.
Look, this is a cut-and-dry case of self-defense. If there's any justice, he'll walk.
Wait a sec. Are you thinking things have changed? Because they haven't, Renee. Since '77, you know how many black men have been executed in this country for killing someone white? Over 200. You know how many white men have been executed for killing someone black? 1. You want my professional advice?
I was hoping for your participation. I came to ask if you'd second chair.
Really? Okay, why not?
Fine. Now, what was that advice you were going to give me?
Doesn't really apply now.
What?
By confessing to an ethical attorney, your client opened a legal Pandora's box. I was going to say he should do what he did 34 years ago, run like hell. But that was before I became second chair.
Run like hell?
Think they saw us? Renee? Been invaded! Dang that Collier soon. You think he did this? He's the only one who knows about Port Dixie. He probably told Tully. Hey, I bet they'll come back. And when they do, we'll surprise attack them with itching powder. We've been here all day, Emmy. Maybe they're not coming. Grandma Otis says that people always come back to the scene of the crime. And she reads True Confession, so she knows. Do they always come back the same day? Shh. It's a hobo. Hey, mister. This is private property, and you are trespassing.
So you're the ones who broke into my place. Is this all your junk?
It's not junk. These are our things. This is Port Dixie, and you best go before I call the sheriff.
You're spitting in the wind. This is the caboose from the old Red Line Rail of Tuscaloosa. And I've been coming here every spring to see the azaleas bloom and the pixie dust fall.
Did you say pixie dust?
Seeing as you're probably no older than 10.
We're 11.
And I've been coming here a lot longer than that. I'd say that that makes the boxcar mine.
This is our place, and you have to leave.
Oh, and who's going to make me?
Me and her.
Oh, yes. And what army?
Davis? Hey! Hi.
Emma, I invited the team over for lunch.
Yes, I can see that.
Hey, Sims, you got any cookies here?
They'd be right next to the Emily Post Book of Etiquette on your left.
That's cool. He's my new best friend.
Uh-huh.
He's the one who taught me how to kick great. I mean, there's nothing I've really been great at before. You know?
Okay, you've got a dozen of these bruises in your kitchen.
Yeah, and they're all ordering Davis around like he was some kind of flunky. And the weird thing is, he's eating it up with a spoon.
It's a rite of passage, part of that macho brotherhood thing.
And where does that end? With keggers and cat houses?
It strikes me as ironic that someone who courted more danger than Evel Knievel as a kid wouldn't let their son do something as basic as play football.
He's my baby, Renee. He's just this little tiny thing.
He's 13 years old.
Oh, fine. I can see I'm not going to get any sympathy here.
I'm all sympathied out. As a favor to a client of mine, I'm stepping out of civil court and defending him in a manslaughter case.
You're defending a murderer?
No, I'm defending someone who accidentally killed a man 34 years ago and fled the scene. Now he's coming forward.
Took his time, didn't he?
You know what I mean? I shouldn't even be talking to you about this.
Why? I'm a totally secret person. I can be completely confidential.
Hello? Yes. Okay. I'll meet you there.
How long before he can be out on bail?
By morning. I've reconfirmed with the DA. He'll be charged with involuntary manslaughter and arraigned.
So I'll have to plead guilty?
Yes, but that's just for the sentencing hearing. Based on your claim of self-defense, they'll probably suspend sentence.
We're thinking after we can take a trip overseas. See, Percy will finally be able to get a passport without worry.
Is that what made you decide to go ahead with this?
Well, that, my faith in God. And in you, Miss Jackson.
Excuse me.
I'll be waiting for you at home.
I'm ready.
Can I help you?
Yes. I'm Renee Jackson. This is my client, Percy Tucker. He'd like to turn himself in for the death of Conrad Watkins in 1965. And out of the blue, you charge him with second-degree murder. Don't tell me this isn't political. A 34-year-old case is gonna make all the papers.
Just got the discovery.
This is outrageous, Chris. You all but assured me we had a deal. Fine. You'll be hearing from me.
What do you say?
Hey, look at the discovery. What the hell is in there?
It's me. The victim, Conrad Watkins, 27 years old, blah, blah, blah. Police report. Witness, Gilbert Mallory, described the assailant as a young Negro man of unknown identity.
Mallory's dead. That report's inadmissible. Fingerprints on the bat obviously match Percy. What about bail?
No deal. Judge still considers Percy a flight risk.
Maybe that's because the autopsy report says there was 6 blows to Watkins' head. His cranium was crushed.
That's my son. He's a kicker. You got a son on the team?
No, a daughter. She's a defensive tackle.
Don't you worry about your daughter, with how rough these boys play?
No, not really. Okay, pick it up. Molly's 5'10", 180 pounds.
How nice. Oh, my God.
Oh, my God! Out of the way, out of the way!
Wait, I'm his mother. Davis? Honey, it's Mommy. Are you okay?
Guess I hit him too hard.
The doc said he just got his bell rung. It happens all the time. It's no big deal. You're not a real man till your bell's been rung.
Yeah, what if that happens every time he goes out on the field? You're not a real man till you get a concussion?
A boy can't live with a bunch of what-ifs. If he does, he'll wind up too afraid to do anything. He'll wind up a wimp.
There are worse fates. Being disabled, for one. Is that what you choose for your son?
You gonna get that?
Are you?
Hello. Hi, I'm Cole. I was wondering if I could see Davis.
Sure. He's upstairs and to the left.
Thanks.
There you go. Now what'd I do?
That kid you just let in is the one who almost killed our son, not to mention the fact that he treats him like a dog, which for some strange reason Davis seems to love.
Well, that's what I'm trying to tell you. This is how guys show affection. He probably likes Davis, wants to take him under his wing, help him out.
Yeah. Well, with that kind of help, who needs enemies?
How long do you think we're gonna have to share Port Dixie? Until she leaves, I guess. She said she comes to see the azaleas bloom. Maybe when they die, she'll go away. Is she talking to herself?
I wouldn't give her a nice cabinet.
I guess so. I think she's cooking, too. Maybe I should peek. Make sure she's not burning down Port Dixie.
It's in a castle so crystal blue. It's the kingdom inside of you. Hey! You're the enemy! And you're supposed to stay on your own side.
Well, what was it like? It was beautiful, Renee. There was a bunch of stuff hanging all over. She even had her own bed.
Somebody's smoking over there. Dare to declare a truce? It's called incense. A camel driver gave it to me in Egypt.
You've been to Egypt?
I've been all over the world. You see, I may look like a hobo, but actually, I'm Princess Marla of Hungary. I was exiled during the revolution, and a price was put on the head of all my family, and that's why I'm in hiding. Even now.
You mean they're still after you?
Correct.
But if you were a princess, wouldn't you have a lot of money?
I told you! There are people who wish me dead. If I came forward to claim my inheritance, I would be killed, beheaded. Fortunately, I have this to help me. It's a magic coin, see? The soul of an ancient magician lives inside it. And when I flip it, he tells me what side it's going to land on. Here, try.
Okay, heads or tails?
Heads, heads.
Here, let me try. Call it.
I believe. What you say, I can't hear you. What? Yes, I believe. Yes, it's heads again. As I said, it's a magic coin. And this here is a magic place. And for another cigarette, I'll tell you all about the pixie dust that falls here every spring.
Come on, Emmy, we gotta go. We'll both be late for dinner. What's the matter with you, Renee Jackson? Why are you in such a hurry? Because she's lying, Emmy. She's making the whole thing up. And how would you know?
Listen, I've been doing a little research. Football causes more injuries than any other school sport. Collier.
What's the matter?
I'm not sure, but I think Davis's new best friend just stole his CD player.
You really expect us to believe you now?
I told you. I just defended myself.
By smashing his skull 6 times, that's what the autopsy says.
Then that's not accurate. Because I don't remember that. I don't remember that at all.
All right, let's just take this step by step, shall we? You told me he was down after the first blow. Do you remember that?
Maybe I got it wrong.
Was he down for the second? Or the 3rd, or the 4th, or the 5th, or the 6th, or don't you remember that either?
I don't remember anything but fighting for my life. You understand? It was the times. I had to make sure that man wasn't going to get back up.
Had to make sure or wanted to make sure?
What are you asking?
Did you want him dead?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I did. But it was still self-defense.
Doesn't make a damn bit of difference.
You told us he'd probably walk.
That was when it was hypothetical and before we realized your client murdered Watkins.
Sounds kind of harsh coming from someone like you.
What the hell is that supposed to mean?
Percy Tucker didn't murder anybody. He defended himself.
Does believing that help you sleep better at night?
Oh, come on. We've both dealt with what Percy faced that night. Don't tell me you don't understand how it could have ended the way it did.
You think I haven't wanted to whack some cracker in my lifetime? But I haven't killed anyone, Renee, and neither have you. But your client admits that he has.
He admits responsibility, not culpability. There's a difference.
Give us voluntary manslaughter, Percy. We'll do time, just a matter of how much. We hash it out in sentencing.
I work for the people, all right? The victim's family wants him to fry.
Fine. Then we'll go to trial. And we will drag out every bit of dirt on Conrad Watkins' racist background. We'll examine his death in gratuitous detail. Hell, we'll even exhume the body to challenge the autopsy. How will his family feel about that? You call it nice and easy or mean and ugly?
Voluntary manslaughter.
Fine. But we're going for the maximum sentence. 20 years. Excuse me.
You were a Birmingham deputy sheriff in 1965, correct?
One of many, correct.
Did you know the victim, Conrad Watkins?
Yes, I did.
What can you tell us about him?
Family man, churchgoer. Ran 2 gas stations in town, always changed my oil for free.
Did you know he was a member of the Ku Klux Klan?
Objection, irrelevant.
Sustained.
Did Conrad Watkins have any kind of record, any disputes with the law?
Objection, this is completely irrelevant. Whose sentencing hearing is this?
Your Honor, I'm trying to establish the context in which all of this happened. The motives of Mr. Watkins and his sidekick and the racial unrest of 1965 are relevant to substantiate the fear that my client felt when he ran.
I understand what you're trying to do. It's what you're doing to get there that I have a problem with. Sustained.
Did you know Mr. Watkins' friend, Gilbert Mallory?
Yes, I did. May he rest in peace. We used to hunt together.
He's also a Klan member, correct?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained. Knock it off, counsel.
Your Honor, you can't honestly believe that the victim's involvement with the Klan is irrelevant in establishing Mr. Tucker's state of mind.
You are not questioning Mr. Tucker. You are sliding this in the back door while you question the deputy. Sustained.
Your Honor, my questions go to the heart of this case. Prior to 1965, Mr. Watkins and Mr. Mallory both had police records. What particularly comes to mind is their arrest and release for the death of one Maynard Jones, a Negro who somebody had taken from his home and set a fire in a cornfield. Now, surely, Deputy, you were aware of those events.
Just because I was a deputy doesn't mean I knew that everything that was going on back then.
Right. Anything for a free oil change, huh, Deputy?
Your Honor.
Withdrawn.
Sounds pretty ugly to me.
It's worse than ugly. It's a nightmare. I've let myself get pushed up against a wall with nowhere to go.
Jogging help?
No.
I like jogging better in the morning while I'm still asleep and don't feel the pain.
No pain. My client could go to prison for 20 years, and it's my fault.
You're not the one who bashed a guy's skull in.
I've never been chased by men with chains and gasoline either. Neither of you. Must have been out of my mind when I told him to turn himself in.
I thought you said you didn't have a choice.
I didn't legally.
Well, good. You weren't willing to get disbarred on this one.
Emmy, I believe what started as an act of pure self-defense may have ended as an act of blind rage. Should he get 20 years? Maybe. Should he walk? Maybe. Was it self-defense? Maybe. Was it temporary insanity? Maybe. I hate it.
What do you really think he should get?
Doesn't matter what I think. It only matters what the judge thinks.
Well, what if you were the judge? What would you do?
Honestly?
No, lie through your teeth.
I don't know. community service.
Do you really think that picking up beer cans off the highway is a fair punishment for murder?
They were gonna set him on fire.
Look, what those guys did was a terrible thing. And what your client did was a terrible thing. But we do live in a civilized society, and we do have rules. What do you want? Anarchy?
Anarchy. What if you had been with Collier last year when those maniacs beat him up? What if you had had a baseball bat and you'd seen one of those goons point a shotgun at his head? What would you have done?
But it still doesn't make it right, Renee. This is not our stuff. I'm not going to take anything. I'm just making sure she hasn't taken anything from us. She doesn't have to steal. She has a castle in Hungary. She's a fake. She's a princess. Princesses wear diamonds in their hair. Marla doesn't even wash hers. She's been on the road. See? It's the same on both sides. I told you it was a trick. And look at this. She's from Arkansas. Then how come she talks like the Beatles? Her real name is Donna Sanders.
That's the name I made up to get a driver's license when I toured the Ozarks. The damn Arkansas DMV wouldn't give one to a princess. Something to do with immigration. Got a smoke, Little Red? It's a kingdom coin, smarty pants. It's supposed to be the same on both sides.
Well, I don't believe you have a kingdom. I don't believe you're a princess, and I don't believe in your magic.
How dare you? We all have a kingdom, and there's magic everywhere. You come back tomorrow, and I'll show you the pixie dust. You believe me, don't you?
Yes, Your Highness.
Why did Cole leave with your CD player?
Huh?
Why did Cole take your boombox?
Right. I said he could have it.
Well, it wasn't yours to give.
Okay, I'll see if he'll give it back.
What do you mean, if you'll give it back? Call him up and tell him to bring it back.
No!
Then I'll go get it. Where does he live?
I don't know.
Oh, what now, Amnesia? You were just over there 2 days ago, unless you're lying to me. Were you lying to me, Davis?
No.
Are you covering for him?
No.
Look, this kid treats you like dirt, not to mention the fact that yesterday he turned you into a grass stain and then used that opportunity to come over to your house and steal an appliance from your room.
I told you he didn't steal it.
Then why did he run out of the house like a man on fire?
We could always depend on Mr. Tucker to be there for us. Now, everybody knows he worked alongside President Carter and his Habitat for Humanity. What they don't know is that he always insisted on paying for all the supplies out of his own pocket as long as he could remain anonymous. I'm sorry, Percy, but people should know.
Your Honor, with all due respect to Mr. Tucker's impeccable character, how many more of these walk-on-water testimonies must we listen to?
Surely the way Mr. Tucker spent the last 34 years is relevant. The court needs to know he's not a serial killer in danger to society.
I'll allow one more.
He drive the kids to ball games, take them on field trips, even created a program for troubled teens, counseling the boys who didn't have parents.
And what did you think when you learned Mr. Tucker was charged with murder?
Objection. What Mrs. Collins thinks is irrelevant.
I object to that.
Overruled. Sustained. Your witness may answer the question.
This whole business is a darn shame, a gosh darn shame. Mr. Tucker is a fine man who's done nothing but good. And he certainly doesn't belong to be all locked up in some jail with a bunch of drug addicts, pansies, and thieves.
I didn't say you stole it. We just want it back. Please get the CD player.
I can't. I left it at school.
May we come in and talk about this for a minute?
I guess.
Is your mother home?
No, she stepped out. Sorry about the wreck. It's my job to clean up. Kind of let it go.
It's awfully dark in here.
I was just taking a nap. I gotta change that bulb.
It's dead. Your mother stepped out a while ago, didn't she, Cole?
It's okay, man. Mom's cool. Aren't you, Mom?
You got a toothbrush?
Yeah, sure, I got a toothbrush.
Get it. You're coming home with us.
I could see it in their eyes, the rage. I knew if I didn't get that bat from Mr. Watkins, he would have killed me.
You knew this for a fact.
The big one had a chain in one hand. His other was swinging this gas can back and forth, gently, like a little basket of flowers. One way or another, I knew those men were going to kill me.
Thank you, Mr. Tucker. No further questions.
Mr. McNeil?
And when the attack was over, when Watkins lay dead at your feet, you ran, correct?
Yes.
You were an athlete in high school, weren't you, Mr. Tucker?
Yes.
Actually, you won the regional division of the 400 meters, right? I've always wondered why you didn't run before you killed Conrad Watkins.
You know about this?
No.
They had a car. I cannot outrun a car.
I don't think so, Mr. Tucker. Think of the head start you would have got if they had taken the time to get back into their car. Mr. Mallory, the one with the gas, he was a heavy man, was he not?
I don't know how much he weighed.
But a moment ago, you referred to him as the big one.
Well, he was larger than I was, yes.
Medical records at the time showed Mr. Mallory weighed around 250 pounds. I doubt if he'd been able to catch up with you if you had taken off. And I seriously doubt that Watkins could have taken you down with a baseball bat if you were running.
Objection. This one weighed 250 pounds. This one was a track star. Your Honor, counsel's not only speculating, he's testifying.
Sustained. You have a question lurking somewhere in your litany of recall?
After you hit Watkins with the baseball bat, did he fall to the ground?
I can't remember.
After you struck Mr. Watkins, what did Mr. Mallory do?
I don't know. I can't remember.
So obviously, he wasn't a threat to you anymore either.
I guess not.
How many times did you hit Watkins with the bat?
I don't remember.
Once, twice, 50.
I have told you that I don't remember.
But you remember other details with great specificity. The look in Watkins' eyes, Mallory swinging a gas can gently like a basket of flowers. But you're telling me you can't remember how many times you hit Watkins in the head with a baseball bat?
No.
Mr. Tucker, the autopsy shows that Mr. Watkins was dead long before the last blow. Isn't it true that this wasn't self-defense, Mr. Tucker? Isn't it true that you saw this as nothing more than an opportunity to vent a lifetime of rage as a black man?
Objection, Your Honor. Argumentative.
No. I was trying to save my life.
Then how come you didn't run before you killed Conrad Watkins? How come you didn't run as fast as we all know you could?
Objection!
Withdrawn. Prosecution would like to call Gary Watkins to the stand. Earlier you heard what it was like to be a black man in 1965. I think it's time we heard what it was like to be a little white boy on August 4th, 1965. That day hold any significance for you?
That was the night my father went out for a quart of milk and never came home. At least that's what my mother chose to tell me.
Did anyone ever explain to you why all of this happened?
Well, they didn't need to. I know why it happened. Because you were a nigger.
Objection!
And you're still a nigger.
Mr. Watkins!
A yellow-bellied nigger coward who's gonna get off easy if you get 20 years.
Bailiff, remove this man from our court.
Step down, Mr. Watkins. Watch your back and get out.
Mr. Watkins!
Watch your back, because this isn't over. You hear me, boy?
I can do those for you, Miss Sims.
Oh, thank you, Cole. Renee and I'll finish them up. Sweet boy. You okay, Renee?
Yeah, just a lot of things on my mind. What do the authorities say about Cole?
I swear, if I could adopt him, I would.
I mean, he's not some stray puppy you found on the street. There are laws.
I know that. But if I call social services, they'll just put him away in some awful foster home.
You haven't called them yet? I mean, why do you ask me what to do if you have no intention of doing it? I mean, why do you even bother asking me for help?
Renee, are you okay?
It was awful today. On the stand, Watkins' son said that the only reason any of this happened was because Percy was a nigger. And that he was going to finish off what his father started. It's just awful. Nothing's changed in me. Nothing.
Light of old, light of gold, wash and bathe us as I've told. Quick, take each other's hands and close your eyes.
This is silly of me.
Believe in magic, it's in the air. It shines in everything, everywhere. It's in a castle so crystal blue. It's in a kingdom inside of you.
That it, Marla? I don't see any light.
You will. You will. All right, girls. Once more. With feeling. All right? Look for a light shines like morning dew. Look for a castle so crystal blue. Make a wish and then close your eyes. Look for the truth, it lies deep inside.
That's okay, Marla. Maybe we didn't believe hard enough. Marla? She's gone! See me? I told you she was a phony. You find her? It's been 2 hours, Emmy. She's not coming back. Maybe I should put her stuff in a pile. How come you didn't believe in her magic? They were just tricks. If I can't see it, I don't believe it.
There's no such thing as pixie dust.
But you can't see wind, and you know it's real. And you can't see God, and He's real. But I can see what the wind does. And I can see how people can change because of God.
Am I a horrible person because I believe in my heart that Percy Tucker should receive the maximum sentence of 20 years? I don't think so. Percy Tucker brutally killed another man with a baseball bat. Granted, the fear that drove Watkins to pursue Tucker 34 years ago is the same fear that drove Tucker to bash Watkins' skull. It is unfortunate that fear did not move Mr. Tucker to run. We have shown that he could have run. We have also shown that Mr. Watkins was down long before Mr. Tucker stopped beating him, knowing that Mr. Watkins chased Mr. Tucker with a bat because he was black. That sickens me. Knowing that Mr. Tucker took the bat from Mr. Watkins to protect himself, that sobers me. But knowing that Mr. Tucker continued to bash Mr. Watkins' skull again and again and again, only to return here claiming self-defense, well, Your Honor, that frightens me. Because this case isn't about Birmingham in 1965, and it isn't about being white or black. This case is about right and wrong and determining the punishment of a man who admits that he killed another man. Pure and simple. There are laws, and they must be carried out.
Miss Jackson.
Yes. Percy Tucker killed Conrad Watkins. Why? to protect himself from being engulfed in flames and dying alone on a dark country road. Think about that. Feel the terror he must have felt. Smell the gasoline. See Mallory sparking his cigarette lighter. Percy Tucker did what any one of us in this courtroom would have done in that unimaginable situation. He defended his life. If a line was crossed that night when Percy Tucker continued to hit Conrad Watkins, that line was drawn by a baseball bat and a can of gas. Why did he run? As a black man in Birmingham, Alabama in 1965, could he have received a fair trial? Absolutely not. 2 years prior, firemen were assaulting the bodies of little black children with fire hoses. Fire hoses so strong they ripped the bark from trees 100 feet away. Who will it serve to imprison Percy Tucker for 20 years? This is a good man. You have heard from his community. The world is a better place because he has been here. Your Honor, I beg you to deliver the minimum sentence of 2 years. And I respectfully remind the court of your power to suspend that sentence in its entirety. For if the real truth is to be brought into light today, what is needed is the full understanding of what happened 34 years ago when Percy Tucker's only crime was in saying, "It looks like rain today," to a white woman.
Got everything you need?
Yeah. And thanks for letting me do some laundry. And I am sorry I pawned off Davis's CD player. I promise I'll pay it back someday.
Don't worry about it. I hope you understand why I had to call the agency. I'm really sorry.
I don't look at this like it's something you did. I really don't. When I was 6, my mom had to leave me in a foster home in Iowa. It wasn't so bad.
If there was any other way,
I met this older kid when I was there, and he kind of kept an eye out for me. Maybe this time I meet a little guy who needs my help.
Let me help you with it. You're welcome here anytime, you know.
Thanks. You know, Davis, he's a good kid.
Yeah, he is. But that's not why you're welcome here. You're welcome because you're a good kid, too.
Percy Tucker, please rise. "34 years ago, Mr. Tucker, you were pursued by men with baseball bats and chains and gasoline in a vicious and hateful manner. You could have run, risking apprehension by those pursuing you. Or you could have stayed and fought. You chose to fight, in turn becoming like those who attacked you. Therefore, based on the evidence presented to me and the sentencing guidelines of the state of Alabama, I hereby sentence you to a term of 12 years in prison at the Tuscaloosa Minimum Security Center. Case adjourned.